Hey boys and girls, so excited to get started on today's mini lesson. This week we've been working really hard on becoming deeper readers who make meaning from what the author's trying to say. And as we explore this book, Jackie Robinson, this biography of an American hero, we're going to really be asking ourselves, what is the author trying to convey? Like what does he mean? But what does he not actually say? So we're going to be uncovering the implied meaning in the text and the way that readers figure out what the implied meaning is. And implied is kind of a fancy college word here, but basically we ask ourselves some questions. So the strategy that you're going to try out is really asking questions and how that kind of leads to an inference. And so yesterday when we were, thinking about what do I know, in my head, plus what the text says. So we thought about our schema and what the article, the text says. And today we just want to go a little bit deeper and think about what does the author mean, but he does not say. So let's kind of practice this together. Right here in this chapter 4, we're ready for an American hero, and we're going to really read between the lines and see what does the author mean, but does not say. On April 15th of 1947, Robinson took the field as a Dodger for the very first time. Robinson heard both cheers and insults as he stepped up to the plate. Some of his teammates showed him support, though others did not entirely accept him. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best game of Robinson's career. Under the pressure of such a historic moment, he started off with a slump that went on for several games. It wouldn't last long, though. So here's where I want to try out my strategy, right? I want you to watch how I use this questioning technique to kind of figure it out. So I'm going to ask myself kind of what were the inferences going on in my head? What information in the text did I use to make that inference? How good was my thinking? Like, was I on the right track? Or do I maybe need to change my thinking? So I'm going to go back to this line right here. I'm going to lift a line from the text. What's stated explicitly in the text, what's visible to my eyes. When it says that when he stepped up to the plate, some of his teammates showed him support. So right there, my inference was, wow, he must have really had like good teammates who cared a lot about him and wanted him to succeed, right? So what was the information I used? Well, I used that line right there that says some of his teammates showed him support. Um, so I'm thinking, how good is that thinking? Like, do I have enough evidence to support that, or do I need to change it? Because the next line says, the other explicit piece of information is, others did not entirely support him. So then I'm wondering if maybe in this time period, which we've already kind of learned, is that some people were really impressed with his sports abilities and kind of got over the fact that he was an African American player, but the others didn't. So I kind of asked myself, what's my inference? What information did I use to make it? And how good was my thinking? If it's not real good thinking, I might need to change it. So I kept on reading, and it says that unfortunately this was not the best game of his career, that he kind of had a slump, right? So that's what it explicitly says. But what does the author mean? But doesn't really say. And I think he's saying that Jackie Robinson was nervous, that he was really feeling a lot of pressure because he's the first African American player and people are watching. So right there, I'm going to kind of go, okay, so my inference is that he's nervous. Let me look and see. Do you see that word nervous on the page? It's not there. It's like invisible, right? That's what inferencing is. It's taking what's not on the page and making it visible by using what is there, using the explicit information to come up with the implicit, which is the invisible stuff, right? That's what good readers do. So when it says that he was nervous, I think I have pretty good evidence for that. It says he didn't do so well. It wasn't his best game. And sometimes I know that whenever I'm under pressure and I feel like anxious about something, I don't do my very best. So I'm thinking maybe that his nervousness is what caused his slump. But again, that's invisible. It's all happening in my head. It's not right there in the text. And when good readers try to figure out what the author means but does not say, we do that. So today, when you go off to read to self, or you're working in your response groups, or you're with me at guided reading, I want you to be thinking about that strategy. So we ask ourselves, what's my inference? What information did I use to make that inference? And then how good was my thinking? Do I have enough evidence to support the inference I made? And really it's that combining of what's visible with what's invisible, which is really just the questions we ask ourselves, the thoughts that we have, the connections that we make. And that's how we figure out if we're really learning to be deep readers who infer, which is a pretty hard skill.